Thank you all so much for joining us today. I'm very excited to learn more about the Radio Control Club here in Hudson. My name is Heidi Jakoby, and I've lived here for a number of years. And I'm just taking this opportunity to continue my table talks. And today I have Cody with me and to tell us a little bit more about the Radio Control Club. Hi, Cody, and welcome.
Thank you, Heidi.
Tell me a little bit about who you are to the Radio Control Club.
Sure. So my name is Cody Wojcik. I am the president of the Southern New Hampshire Radio Control Club. I've been president for about 10 years now, and I'm also a radio control airplane nut, and it's been probably my biggest hobby for my whole life.
So Cody, what I found really fascinating is that I didn't know we had a Radio Control Club in town, and I've been here since '94. And I understand that you've been flying on the field you're flying on since the year 2000. So sad to say, that's 23 years for me. But I'm so excited to hear about the founder of the Radio Control Club. And I understand this is one of his planes. Tell us a little bit about it.
Sure, yeah. So this airplane actually belonged to Daryl Wagner, which is a name that many of the viewers here are going to be familiar with. He had a lot of involvement in town politics. He was a state senator, and he was actually the builder of a lot of the homes on Wagner Way, as well as Wade Road and Wendy Drive, which are named for his children.
Yeah.
So Daryl was a dear friend of mine, and he sadly passed away a couple of years ago. He did give me this airplane before he passed. But he was one of the founding members of the Southern New Hampshire Radio Control Club, and he is the person who secured the West Road landfill and got our agreement to fly there back in the fall of 1999.
And what I found really fascinating as I looked into the club and its history is that when Daryl got permission for that field, for that capped landfill, he and the club spent a lot of time really grooming it and doing what was necessary and proper on a capped landfill to keep it as a recreational area.
Yeah, that's correct. So, if you've ever been around a capped landfill, it's basically a big hill with some tall grass. It's usually pretty rounded on the top, right? Because the idea is to simply capture the contents of the landfill and put some dirt and grass on top of it. The use of the property was actually offered to a lot of local sports teams and recreation, and they all turned it down because a soccer ball is going to roll off the end of it,
That's
right?
true.
So the club actually did quite a bit of work when we started flying there. We leveled the field. We planted a lot of nice lush grass and made the area suitable for our use so that we can fly aircraft over it.
Yeah, and what I discovered was I was looking at capped landfill use, and one of the best things to plant on top of it is grasses. It actually preserves the cap and helps the cap stay in its place.
Yeah, that's correct. So you need. I'm not an expert.
Nor
in this
am
field,
I. But Google helps.
Right. So So there's that layer of soil is held in place by with a lot of like the roots of the grasses.
Yeah. I appreciate the fact that there's great care being taken for that land and that it's being used, because what more could you want than it to be used recreationally by both the town and other members? And I understand Hudson residents have a preference in this club?
That's correct. So for a long time, the club had a capped membership, but that cap did not apply to any Hudson residents. So I'm actually a resident of Salem, so I had to fight my way in tooth and nail to get into the club.
And that's why you're staying.
Yeah, and they punished me by making me president.
There you go. Well, and that's good for all of our viewers to know that if you have anyone who has an interest, the members will help you and would love to have you come fly with them or even come watch them fly. And at the end of this, we'll share a video of them flying, just a brief one, to give you a real idea of the location. Cody, I understand that there's an educational component to radio control planes or radio control flyers. I don't know what the category is these days.
Sure. So, this is a hobby that is enjoyed by people of all ages, right? They're not toys, but they kind of are, right? So it's a very challenging hobby, and you absolutely have to learn something if you're going to enjoy it and have any success in it. A number of our members have volunteered at local schools as part of their science curriculums. I've advised a number of college teams for some of their senior projects as well. And it was part of my very informal education growing up. I've been doing this for a long time, and a lot of what I know, and I apply in my job as an engineer, I learned kind of on an intuitive level with this hobby.
I also understand that your club, or the Radio Control Club, has produced some award winners.
Yeah, that's right. We actually have a lot of history at this club. We have a number of national competitors in sailplanes, that's gliders, as well as helicopters, 2 world champions in aerobatic flying as well.
That's really cool. Wait until you see the video, because I had to look at the 1-minute video twice to see what direction the plane was flying in. So that's a little hint. Right now, Cody and I are going to go over to another larger plane to get an idea of what the planes are and talk about some of the agreements. So Cody and I have moved over to the table so that Cody can tell us a little bit about the planes. But let's start with Cody telling us a little bit about the special agreements that the Radio Control Club has with various governing bodies. Cody?
Sure. So we have an agreement. We're actually chartered by the Academy of Model Aeronautics, which is a national club that kind of supports and oversees what we do. And the main thing they provide us with is actually $2.5 million in liability insurance, which we have never had to use in our almost 50 years, thankfully. But we also have an agreement with the Nashua Airport that lets us fly up to 1,000 feet in altitude.
Oh, wow.
Which is something that's actually somewhat unusual. A lot of areas are governed to only 400 feet. We can actually, in special circumstances, fly up to 1,500 feet in altitude if we notify the Nashua Airport beforehand. And then the third arrangement that we have is with the FAA, the Federal Aviation Administration. And with the FAA, we are known as a FRIA, or FAA Recognized Identification Area, which simply means that full-scale aviation is aware of our presence.
Okay.
Right? So they know that if they fly in our airspace, there might be small aircraft.
Which is great.
Exactly. So that's something where a lot of areas in the future, people are going to have to put kind of a transponder device in their aircraft that says where the aircraft is and where it's going and where it took off from. And we don't have to do that because we're already recognized as a FRIA. And
I'm sure those designations take a lot of time and effort to get.
Yeah, absolutely. It was specifically the one with the Nashua Airport. I was in a meeting with about 40 people from the AMA, the FAA, the local airports, and it was a day-long process. And a lot of people in our hobby are kind of hesitant about the FAA, but I have to say they were really, really good to us in this process.
Right, and I know many of us know that there's an FAA center right in Nashua, so that it's important that they're aware of everything that's going on. And the safety, I really appreciate all the safety things that the Radio Control Club is doing. So now we're going to take a look at the planes that Cody brought. Cody, why don't you tell us about the 2 planes that we have here today?
Sure. So this little one right here is called a Train Air 049 that belonged to Daryl. This is quite old. This is probably 35 or 40 years old, and you can see it's got a little tiny fuel engine on it, and this is kind of some older technology. And then this aircraft right here, this is about 6 months old.
How big is it?
So it has a 67-inch wingspan.
Okay.
So about a 5.5-foot wingspan.
And how big can they be?
They can be up to 55 pounds, and whatever wingspan you want, without some more special permitting.
Okay, great.
So at SNH RCC, at the Southern New Hampshire Radio Control Club, we regularly fly aircraft. This is pretty typical of what we fly. And sometimes we'll fly aircraft up to 10-foot wingspan or so, up to about 30 pounds maybe.
I saw you open it up earlier. Can you open this one up and show us what's inside?
Sure. So this actually is an electric-powered airplane, which is a lot more common these days. A lot of us have gone to electric. You can see how it's built. There's a lot of wood, there's a lot of carbon fiber. This right here is the battery and the electronics that control the airplane.
That's really great. And I understand that you have airplanes, gliders. I heard of helicopters. Are there drones as well?
So drones aren't super common at our field. I mean, the mission of a drone is usually to be able to fly around and look at something, right? To get some photography, maybe do some real estate photography, or look at some scenery. And our mission is to fly these.
Right.
So we don't have a lot of drones there. It's not something that we really do. With that said, everybody is welcome.
Okay.
And we have had people, show up and fly their drones and have a good time.
Well, I would think it's a big open field. It's a safe place to learn. And I know that it's a multi-generational hobby. So what's the best way to learn? Because I know these are not inexpensive things. And I've seen videos of people buying their brand new helicopter, flying it, and it getting crushed. And that doesn't seem like a good use of time or money. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, sure. So one of the things that makes this hobby so addictive, and the reason that people stick with it through their whole lives, is because it's challenging, right?
Okay.
And because it's challenging, it's very rewarding. If it was easy, it wouldn't be as much fun when you finally do your first real flight. With that said, we offer training. Most clubs offer training, and that's one of the reasons clubs are formed, is to allow people to teach other people the hobby.
So are there like training planes?
Yeah, there are. So these are both. These are both pretty advanced. This one's close to a trainer, but it's because it's a little small. I wouldn't recommend it. And you can learn to fly with a simple foam airplane. That will, take a couple of hard landings without any damage.
Okay, because I would think that's, because it's again the coordination of everything working together. Cody, can you tell us a little bit about the makeup of the club? Because I know it's intergenerational. What's the age gap, men, women?
Sure. So I mean, this is it's a hobby that is, despite what it looks like, safety is important, right? So there's not necessarily going to be children as solo members, but we have members, from early teenagers all the way up through retirees. And I'll admit it's mostly male, right?
Yep.
But we certainly do have some women pilots. A good friend of mine, his wife said that she would learn to fly if she got a pink airplane.
Awesome.
So not too long ago, we put together a pink airplane so Morgan can learn how to fly.
Well, that's really welcoming, and I think that's the important thing. And I think it's family oriented. I know that sometimes families just come and watch, and
Right.
How does that work?
Absolutely. So I mean, I've had some just excellent days at the flying field where I barely flew. And a lot of people can say that, right? So you're outdoors, we have shelter from the sun, so we have some shade. And a lot of people love to come, even if the husband is flying or the son is flying, the rest of the family can come and hang out and have a picnic.
Right.
We do a lot of open fly-ins, right, where members from other clubs are invited, even if they're not members of our club. And at a lot of those, we'll have cookouts, and anybody can show up and have a burger or a hot dog, and it's just a great time. So it is a very, very social event. I know a lot of guys who fly with their wives, and their wives are as much of a part of the community as anybody.
Yeah, and you know, that really makes me consider this as an alternate hobby. It's something I've never considered before. I know I'll be out at the field at some point to see what's happening there, but it is a family-oriented hobby. It is recreational, and they're very open to new members. So please reach out to them on their website or other places and join in the fun. You know, I just want to share one thing that I was thinking as we were doing this. We all go to so many museums looking at different vehicles or different cars. I bet it must be amazing the different types of flying vehicles that you have on any given day.
Absolutely. So this airplane here is what we call aerobatic, so kind of for stunts and tricks.
Yep.
And that's what I really like to do. But we have a lot of members who really like to build extremely accurate models.
Replicas?
Replicas of full-scale airplanes.
Yeah, I like the replica.
We have a lot of members who are really, really into soaring or flying gliders with no motor.
Yep.
And they can keep an airplane in the air for hours with no motor. Just off of rising air currents.
Amazing.
We have a lot of members who are also really, really into helicopters. Helicopters are a lot of fun. It's a totally different part of the hobby, a totally different challenge. And we have a lot of very avid helicopter pilots.
Well, thanks for bringing these out.
Absolutely, my pleasure.
The Southern New Hampshire RC Club is a nonprofit organization that has been supporting and promoting RC aviation in the Hudson area for 57 years. Since 2000, SNH RCC members have flown at Wagner Field, which is on top of the capped landfill in Hudson. The flying site was named after long-term club member Daryl Wagner, a member and chairman of the Hudson Planning Board, and a former New Hampshire state legislator who secured the field for our use. Daryl unfortunately passed away in 2021. SNHRCC currently has 52 members, including Hudson residents. The club has members from all ages and walks of life, and Wagner Field has been the birthplace of many great friendships and memories. It has been the practice site of multiple national and world-level competition pilots, as well as a development site for RC products and RC media companies. Many engineers, commercial pilots, and even astronauts have started their careers with model aviation. With commercial and residential development, it has been harder and harder to secure good places to enjoy this wonderful activity. Currently, only 700 sites across the country have been approved as FAA-recognized identification areas, or FRIAs, and thankfully, Wagner Field is one of them. We feel it's more important than ever to preserve this flying site so that it can continue to inspire young and old alike in their careers and pastimes.
I just want to thank you all for taking the time to be with us, Cody and I, and learning more about the Radio Control Club here in Hudson. I hope that you take the opportunity to take a look at the warrant article that they've put forward and to go out and vote on March 12th. And again, if you have any questions, please reach out to the Radio Control Club and get them answered. Or if you just want to go fly or watch them, take a look at their website and you'll be able to find out when they fly.